Iceland. One of the youngest landmasses on the big blue marble we call home. It was one of the last places on Earth to be settled by humans, and scientists claim that only 20 to 25% of this island is truly habitable. Both traveler and tourist alike have this island on the tips of their tongues and tops of their lists. When we decided to go, we wanted to know what makes this piece of the North Atlantic such a sought-after gem in the hearts and minds of the world. We didn't just want to see the land and its Instagram-famed visuals. We wanted to meet those that had made this piece of magic home. We wanted the culture. We wanted the people. We wanted more than a full photo album. And our time there, we left with something special. Call it aura, call it allure, call it magic, call it mysticism. Iceland is something different. With over 60% of the population living in the same place, and the only real access point to this world of wonders, we began our exploration with Reykjavik. We met Sorel on a hike, and as is the nature of Iceland, we quickly became friends. She is an outsider like us, but one who decided immediately to make Iceland her home.
This place is freedom. Like if you want to go get out of the city or feel like you're not surrounded by a million people, this is the right place. The idea of just being a woman in other different parts of the world, you're still boxed in. You're still like, you have to dress a certain way, act a certain way, do certain things to a degree. I know that sounds strange, but it is. Like you should put your makeup on and do your hair a certain way. But Iceland, because the equality of sexes is so strong, like everyone's an equal. There's no such thing as like, there's no unequal pay, everything's the same. Same with gay people, like it's not a problem. And here, women do whatever the fuck they want.
I mean, that speaks waves about this land and why so many people are flocking here so quickly.
Yeah.
You've been here 9 months. Have you seen, in town we've already heard whispers of this isn't the Iceland I grew up with, this isn't the Iceland I'm from. So in 9 months, have you seen already a monstrous amount of change?
Yes, it's when I came here, it was already sort of the rush. And my friend who lives here for 2 years now, she's from Australia as well. She said that when she started, it wasn't anything like this, and it just grew from there. And when I came over, it was busy, but now it's ridiculous. It's just getting worse. I mean, everybody wants to be here because you hear about it everywhere. When I came over and I started taking my photographs and posting them places, I didn't really want to post them because I wanted to keep it a secret, but it's just exploded.
Once you leave Reykjavik, you journey into the true heartbeat of Iceland. The people and the land outside of the modern world show you what this island really is.
Yeah, my name is Þorgrímur Einar Guðbjörnsson, and I am living in West Iceland. We run a dairy farm, have about 60 cows. We have been here for almost 20 years, me and my wife. My mother was raised up on a farm, so my grandparents were farmers, and I have always been very much fond of that farmer's life, and just spending time in the nature. Sometimes when I go to the bank, for example, and I look at this old lady who's been serving me for 40 years, paying the bills for me, and giving me the money when I withdraw them and things like that. And she turned 67 and she is asked to leave the company because she is too old to work anymore. And when I look at these people, and I see, why waste your life behind the desk? I know someone needs to do it, but I couldn't have done that, I need the movement, I need the space, I need the surroundings there, I need the wind to blow in my hair, maybe not so much today, but earlier we used to call the next door neighbor, okay, should you go to the pool tonight with the kids? So everyone went to the pool with the kids, so the kids could communicate. They don't run to next farm. It's too far away, so you have to either go by a horse or bicycle, or you could walk between some farmers, but it's easy to just go to the pool, 4 or 5 families together, share ideas, talk together. Maybe afterwards you go to one of the homes and you put something on the barbecue, and the kids are playing around, you know. So it's a community center.
I sat with Þorgrímur and had the kind of chat he spoke about when referencing the pools of Iceland. We spoke of life, viewpoints, his culture and my culture, all in water as warm as a welcome home. There are occasionally those conversations you have in life that not only make you better, but you think you could live in for the rest of your life. This was one of those talks. The farm is a place where we started our exploration through the people and places of Iceland, and a launching that gave us excitement for what was to come next. We drove away with difficulty, but were ushered out by the encouragement of the farm and the family themselves. They knew how much more we needed to see. As we moved further north, we realized just how right they were. The fjords are an ever-winding and climbing succession of smiles and overflows of emotion. It makes the Grand Canyon blush with its pockets of overgrown wildflower and rolling moss, pools of snow hanging on to share in the summer, and peppering the hillsides of great heights and small rolling dunes. We left the puffins behind and continued our drive through the landscape of the western fjords. I don't think there is a single month that goes by that this drive doesn't creep into our heads and give us a moment of peace and meditation. The western fjords hold the most radiant part of Iceland's magic. And while we thought that there was nothing that could beat what we were seeing, it was at a place called the End of the World that we met people who radiate as much magic as the land itself. David and his family left the city life behind in pursuit of true happiness and connection with his country. He left his career with his wife and child to live more in tune with nature. They now manage one of the oldest geothermal pools in Iceland that resides in an extremely remote part of the western fjords. In winter, it is nearly completely inaccessible due to snowfall.
Yeah, my name is David. I live in Árneshrepur in the west fjords of Iceland. I've been living here for 2 years. Before that, I used to work in the city in advertising. I've been doing that for 15 years. And my wife, she used to work in a bank. We realized that we were not in touch with nature and our core and where we're from. That was kind of obvious. Cities was just the country life. Obviously, it's not easy to come to as an outsider to so close community, because it's just like the human nature. Everybody is like protecting the community. We spent our first summer here just getting to know the people through our job at the swimming pool. If I go somewhere inside this community, I just stop at the farm. I kind of don't even knock. I just go in and have a coffee. If no one is there, then I just move on. People it's like a community. People are living here together. They are helping out. The farmers couldn't be farming here if it weren't for the other farmers. Everybody is depending on each other.
When you drive through Iceland, you will continuously see the Icelandic horse folded into the landscape. The horses themselves, albeit small, are long-lived and hardy. Icelandic law prevents horses from being imported into the country, and exported animals are not allowed to return. The breed is still used for traditional sheep herding work, as well as for leisure, showing, and racing. Fanny and her husband have been breeding and showing these horses all their lives, and their love for these animals is so apparently abundant. They both educate locals and tourists alike about the horses themselves and teach people how to stay connected with the horse and ride them.
My mother was pregnant with me when she was competing, so I've been like riding I wasn't even born yet. So
you were in the womb and
yeah.
Your mother was riding with you?
Yeah.
So literally raised on a horse?
Yeah, you can say
That's
that.
amazing.
Yeah. We use the horses for breeding and we are selling them.
Okay.
And then we use them for like herding, and it's also just like we go horse trips and we compete on the horses, so it's our life kind of evolves around horses. They are known for a very good temperament, so we can like let beginners and people that are not used to riding enjoy the horse, enjoy the nature here. Over 1,000 years ago, the Vikings brought the horse to Iceland, and then he was just used as a working horse. Around 1900, it changed, and that's just because then we got the cars and the machines. So then the horse's role changed, and then around 1950, the breeding started. So the role changed from being just a working horse to being a family horse, and then later competition and breeding. Do you want to go faster? Sure. Yeah.
A leisurely ride through the lupin fields on the back of an Icelandic horse gives you a sense of why individuals of this country choose to stay rooted in traditions of years past. They were not far from our minds and still warm in our hearts as our travels continued onward. The sites are some of the most well-known in Iceland, but that's for good reason. Ben was captured by Iceland's culture and beauty. He now spends his life photographing and sharing it.
I've been completely taken by this place, and I came back 6 times, I think, before I moved here, and every time it got harder and harder to leave. If you think about a city is a place that we've essentially created. We've sculpted the landscape to be a place of comfort and ease. And for people coming from cities, they don't understand that. They think, their decision reigns supreme over whatever nature's got in store for them. They don't think, the wind could blow me off the road. It's just wind. I'm just going to drive my car. It's just a bit of wind, whatever. But then, 40 meters per second wind gust blows their entire car off the road. And then from there, they've had this moment of shock when they realize that they're not invincible, and that nature, at the end of the day, really is the beast at hand that can, really, you're just at the mercy of it. Really, it comes down to the way that this country is marketed. The way that tourists interpret this place is usually hugely different to what they see when they're here. And I think that's been a big reason why people get themselves in trouble when they're traveling here. They just don't have any idea what Iceland really is. But that's what I live for, like those like patches of light coming through.
Oh, powering through
It's
right
just
there?
so unique. Like it just blows my mind to bits every time. This is Iceland. Like I always try and imagine this as molten lava, and that's when I lose my mind. Like
All the black,
just
right?
all
Which
of
is-
this stuff was just steaming hot lava.
This is beyond epic.
There's something about like going to the edge of things like this as well. It's like an overwhelming sense, like what I was talking about before, of just being at the mercy of nature.
Speaking with Ben and hearing him talk on Iceland felt like being with a brother in arms. He loves Iceland with all of his heart and has let it take him entirely. He showed us a piece of it we hadn't seen yet, but wouldn't take any gratitude. He merely told us to thank Iceland, as she was the one who did all the work. As seemed to be the theme of our time in this country, our final stop was given to us by a connection we made along the road. We were invited to spend the night on Trostolme, a vision by a man named Håkon and his desires for the future of Icelandic tourism. Håkon welcomed us to his island, his refuge, in order to show us his dream. Intended to be a refuge and place of serenity for artists and those alike, this was a sneak peek at the sustainable island Håkon was creating.
So at what time today did you drop the nets into the water?
Like 11 o'clock. And I'm allowed to have them like from Tuesday morning till Friday evening. So the salmon gets like half of the week and I get half of the week. So you can swim freely.
Is this water fairly ripe with salmon?
It's the biggest sustainable salmon fleet, or what do you call it, in Iceland. And there are big water systems up in the highlands that go into this river, so the salmon has like a big areas to spawn all over. It became an island in 1676, and before that it was tied to the mainland on the west side. And all the farms you see on land used to be a part of this. So the people have been living here since 876, so since Iceland got settled. You see the stream in the river, and then you have the eddy that comes up here. So the salmon like uses the eddy to save his energy, not knowing of my net. And then he swims like straight into it over there. Poor guy, but you know. But at least he had a happy life before he came into my nets and was not farmed, which is much better. So who wants to pull in the nets? You want to pull in the nets?
I'll pull in the nets.
Yeah, pull in the nets?
I'll pull in the
Okay.
nets. I'm down.
Okay.
We pulled the fish from the river as a team. Fishing it twice a week, he only takes what he needs and no more. It's another part of his dream of sustainability. It was seeing this that let us all know Håkon will make this island everything he envisions. What started as strangers on an island in the glacial river quickly became a feast amongst friends, as Håkon filleted the salmon fresh in front of us and invited us all to share. It was a celebration of all the days prior on the road. The perfect way to end a long journey, and a meal none of us will forget.
So, what made you, I mean, what were you doing before this? Like, what was your life before you started, you know, this beautiful Trusty Hill Island?
Worked as a carpenter for 20 years, like a lot of like project managing, and here and in Norway a lot, so I lived there. And a big part of me moving back home from Norway was this place, because like staying away and just working all the time and not building up the dream kind of seemed pointless. You know? Nature has been a big part of Icelandic history. You know, because we're on the edge of the habitable world. And the plan is to live here and make it my home. You know, to be able to do that, of course, I have to have some income. And at the same time, you know, I kind of want to share this place. It's a beautiful experience for people that come here and just enjoy the island and the fishing and the food. So I'm just gonna try to combine this by inviting people to come here and fish with me in the nets, and then eat the cats, if there is any, and build up like a little tourist day trip concept around this. And then later I would like to make like a little guest houses that are drawn into the landscape, and that make them fit really nicely to the island, because you know, it is like a personal project, you know, and I don't want to like just plant down my houses, you know, that I don't like. I need to do everything like kind of slowly and in a manner I would like to do it, just to keep myself happy. Sounds kind of selfish, but you know, if I'm gonna be the host and sharing a place, I have to be like loving it all the way myself, just for people to get like the maximum experience out of it, I guess. My ultimate dream is to make like a artist residencia, to build like a house where I can invite creative people to come here and work on their stuff, you know, music or writing or photography or whatever it is, you know. And just because you get, even though you're close to Reykjavik, an hour from Reykjavik, then when you're here, you feel far away because you're surrounded by water. The river has this effect on people that you're far away from everything. So I think you get a really good peace of mind, and it's good for creativity.
Yeah, just what you had last night with us and what we were able to share in with you was absolutely magical. And honestly, I can't thank you enough for letting us just have a small piece of it.
And my pleasure.
And then all we can do is share it with people, because the experience is something you never forget.
This is so good for me, you know, because when I get people and, you know, come here, because I'm here all the time, you know. So sometimes, even though I live in this beautiful place, sometimes I forget. So it's a really good reminder for me to get people to tell me, hey, it's amazing. I was like, yeah, it is. Yeah, that's true.
So it's amazing. I just wanted to say that. Thank you so much. And then I just, again, want to let you know that you have something truly special here. So thank you. It's been fantastic.
Thank you, man.